Hey guys, so today's video is going to be my last makeup declutter of 2020. So typically, for the first half of the year, I'll kind of go through my collection drawer by drawer and declutter certain categories like blushes or eyeshadow palettes. And then the last half of the year, every few months, I'll just kind of look through my entire collection and pull out products that I'm not using, things that I no longer like, or products that are about to expire or have expired, and remove them from my collection just to keep things in check. It's important for me to do that because if I can catch products before they expire, I can pass them along to friends and family to use. And that way the products aren't just sitting in my collection going unused. So it's a good way to keep your collection in check, whether it's large or small. And I have to say I'm pretty satisfied with the current size of my makeup collection. I feel like I've done a really good job at just keeping it in check this year, with maybe the exception of lip products and eyeshadow palettes, but I'm getting there. So anyway, I thought I would share the products that I am removing from my collection and share the reasoning behind them, and hopefully you guys will enjoy today's video. I've gone back and forth on this primer so many times, so I'm just deciding to declutter it because it's not something that I obviously love enough to use over and over. There are so many primers that I enjoy that I feel like I can just pass this one along to somebody else. It is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Primer. I don't know why I'm so set on wanting to love this product. I think it's because I do enjoy the Pretty Fresh concealer, the tinted moisturizer, the foundation. So in my mind, it just makes sense that I would love this primer, but I don't love it. I don't hate it, but there are so many other primers that I like better. And because I've gone back and forth so many times, I mean, obviously it's not an essential in my collection. So it is time to declutter this one and just part with it. So I'm pretty happy with my current foundation collection and size. I feel like everything works pretty well for me, but there is one product I decided to declutter. It's actually something that I do like, but I have something very similar. This is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk. I have the shade 530 Fair Light. So I do like this product. I think it is a good option if you like more of a tinted moisturizer, something with very, very light coverage, but it is so similar to the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer that I don't see a big difference when I wear them, except for the fact that I like the ColourPop one a little bit better. I think it just wears on my skin better throughout the day. So whenever I do want to wear any sort of tinted moisturizer, that's what I go for over this one. And like I said, they're very, very similar. So if for some reason you prefer CoverGirl or you have access to CoverGirl and not ColourPop, I don't think you would be disappointed by this product. I just feel like I don't need to have both of them in my collection because I really mainly reach for the ColourPop one. I do have a few cheek products to declutter. So I've been talking about this Buxom bronzer. Most recently, I mentioned it in a products I regret buying video or like a disappointing products video, and I haven't been able to declutter it yet because I feel like I can make it work for me if I have to. But when it comes down to it, there are probably like 4 or 5 other bronzers in my collection that I love more than this one, and it's just not something that I feel like performs extremely well. It's not really that old. I think I only got it a few months ago, and I'm sure one of my sisters or my mom would enjoy this. So I'm just going to pass this along to one of them so they can actually use it rather than just having it sit in my collection and go unused. I think that this Artist Couture Diamond Glow powder in the shade Summer Haze is really, really pretty, but I just don't find myself reaching for loose highlighters. I might wear them on occasion, but I decided to keep the one from e.l.f., the Nabella Noir collaboration, because I think that one is so pretty. And on the off chance that I do want a loose highlighter, I think it's nice to have one in my collection, but I don't need to have multiple options because I just don't wear them enough. And this is a really pretty formula, so anyone who likes loose highlighters would probably enjoy this. It's just not something that I reach for a whole lot. So again, I'd rather pass this product along. I think it's time to part with my Becca Jaclyn Hill highlighter palette. This is pretty old. It's the Champagne Collection Face Palette, and I think that this has kind of made it through a few declutters because when I had my old filming setup, it was just kind of sitting in the background as decoration, and I wasn't actually using this product. I can't remember the last time I actually applied this to my face. I mean, the packaging is beautiful. If I was like a makeup collector or I was very nostalgic, I might hang on to it, but I don't typically have a strong emotional connection to makeup, or I guess things in general. Like, I'm the type of person who likes to just get rid of things. So I feel like it's time to part with this. I haven't used it in years and years, and it's definitely getting pretty old. I loved this palette so, so much, as I'm sure a lot of you guys did as well, but I have Champagne Pop in like a single form, and the other colors are pretty, but I don't use it, so I don't think I need to keep it any longer. The last cheek product I am decluttering is from Ciate London. This is their Marbled Light Blush in the shade Halo. This performs really well. I love how this looks on the skin, but it's very, very similar to my Hourglass blush in the shade Mood Exposure. Actually, I don't think it's Mood Exposure. There's another shade that looks very similar to this one, and whenever I wear them, they look identical, and I think that I like the Hourglass formula just a little bit better. They're pretty much dupes, and I try not to keep too many dupes in my collection. So again, I'm just going to pass this one along so somebody else can enjoy it before it does go bad. I am decluttering quite a few eye products. So some are old, some are just things that I don't use very often. I do have a bunch of eyeshadow primers that are currently open. I don't know how that happened, but eyeshadow primer seems to last me forever. So I really don't need to have multiple backups in my collection. So I decided to declutter this one. It's one that I've used maybe once or twice, and it does perform really, really well. It's the Zoeva Eyeshadow Fix, and this one is the matte version. I feel like this one is the best to declutter because I haven't used it a ton. It's pretty sanitary. It doesn't have like an actual wand that you dip back into the product, and it does work well. So there's no way I'll get through all of the eyeshadow primers that I have open before they expire. So again, I just want to give this one a new home. I randomly found these Flower Beauty eyeshadow palettes in the back of a drawer, and I completely forgot about them. I really enjoyed these for a long time, but they're definitely getting pretty old. These are the Wanderlust eyeshadow palettes. So this one has some really pretty like greens and blues, some silvery tones, and then the other one was my absolute favorite. This one is NYC Midnight Manhattan. This one has a really pretty gold that I used to wear all the time, also a green, a purple. These performed really well, but they are definitely getting old, and at this point I have other eyeshadow in my collection that I am focusing on. I know that Flower Beauty released some new eyeshadow palettes, so I might try those at some point, but I think it's time to part with these just because I've had them for a while and they're just not something I use any longer. Like I said, somehow they were in like the back of a drawer behind all of my clean makeup brushes, so I honestly forgot I had them, but it's time to get rid of them. I also feel like these eyeshadows are pretty old. I think they have expired because they don't perform the same, and they even look a little bit old like when you look at them in the pan, but I loved these. These are the e.l.f. BFF eyeshadow duos, and when they released these, I remember saying I wish they would put this formula in an eyeshadow palette because I thought it was so good, and I do feel like their new bite-sized eyeshadow palettes are so similar to these. I almost feel like it's the same formula, but just a little bit better. So I am so happy to have the bite-sized eyeshadow palettes. I think they are beautiful. They perform so well, and I really enjoyed these, but they are definitely getting old, and they don't perform as well as they used to. I think I'm also going to part with these Urban Decay single shadows. I'm so tempted to keep them because they're really pretty, and I think that Urban Decay's singles perform better than maybe like the Urban Decay Naked palettes, and I don't know why that is. I feel like a lot of the eyeshadows they put in palettes just aren't as good as their actual singles, and I think they still sell their singles, but they're pretty expensive. So I'm just going to pass these products along to someone else. The first one is their eyeshadow in the shade Zodiac. I don't even know where I got this from, but it's such a pretty like sparkly forest green. I'm so tempted to keep this because I think it looks amazing on the eyes, but I know for a fact that I have a ColourPop Super Shock shadow that looks like this, and then I also have a green in a ColourPop palette that's very similar as well. So I don't need it, even though it is really pretty. I haven't reached for it in a really long time. Same thing with their eyeshadow in the shade Relish. This is a really gorgeous red. I don't wear red eyeshadow very often, if at all, to be honest, so I don't think I would get a lot of use out of this in the future, but I do think the formula itself is really, really nice. So I'm just going to declutter these. Hopefully somebody else can enjoy them, especially the green because it's so pretty. The last thing that I am decluttering would be these ColourPop Kathleen Lights Loose Pigments. So whenever I open up my drawer where I have like my liquid shadows, my single shadows, I see these and I tell myself that I'm going to use them, but I never reach for them. And I think it's because it is a little bit of a process to use a loose pigment. I remember when I first started watching YouTube videos and the MAC pigments were like the thing to have. And I feel like brands have come a long way with their pressed powder products and their pressed pigments. So you can get a very similar look on the eyes with an eyeshadow in an eyeshadow palette or even a single shadow that you don't necessarily need to reach for a loose pigment. These perform very well and they look amazing on the eyes. So if you don't mind taking a little extra time, then I think you might enjoy them. I don't know if they're actually still available, to be honest, but it's basically like this loose powder and you wet your brush and apply it to the eyes. But I feel like when I want like a really fun or shimmery or intense eyeshadow look, I'll just use a ColourPop Super Shock shadow, and that is so much easier to use in general. So I think it is time to part with these. I know that Kathleen Light said, like when she released these, she used to use them on her nails to do some like really interesting nail designs. So I think maybe my cousins or some of my friends might enjoy these for that purpose, but they're just not something that I reach for. It's something that I tell myself I'll use that I never actually do. So that is it from me. That is my last makeup declutter of 2020. I have to say I'm really happy with my current makeup collection. I feel like I've kept things pretty curated this year, and it feels good to actually open up a drawer and just see products that I love. So I love decluttering just to keep things in check, and I've tried not to declutter, just to reclutter. So just because I've decluttered all of these products doesn't mean I can run out and buy new products to fill their spots. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job at keeping my collection just downsized as a whole, as downsized as it can be because I do film YouTube videos. The areas that I need to work on would be lip products and eyeshadow palettes, but I'll get there eventually. So maybe I'll film an updated makeup collection if that's something you guys would want to see. Let me know. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys very soon with a new video. Bye.